What's up, guys? Part 5 of the Iceberg, you already know. Let's get into it. Mermoose. So this one gives you a newspaper article. Well, it's like a snippet of a newspaper, an old newspaper. And it just talks about, I guess, someone's account of a moose underneath some ice in a lake. And I guess the moose are seen to be walking down like the lake floor and chewing up some kind of like greens. And that's pretty much about it. It's like pretty much mooses are like chill underwater, you know what I mean? They look like mooses and they just chill underwater underneath the ice. Even so, like, just think about that under ice. Like, what the fuck? I guess they reside there, I suppose, but I don't know. It's pretty odd. It's an odd read. Empirical evidence of the Mandela effect. So if you're living under a rock, I'll explain to you what this is. The Mandela effect is essentially, I guess, an occurrence where people, I guess, misremember, I guess, a certain thing. I'll give you like a example right here through a picture of, I guess, the fruit of the loom. How people remember it as, I guess, a bunch of fruit inside of a cornucopia, but in actuality, there is no cornucopia. That's pretty much the Mandela effect there itself. And I guess there was an article they give you in this Iceberg, where I guess there's studies done where people were given like to the same idea of this, like for example, like cornucopia bullshit again. So there's been a bunch of tests proving that I guess there's evidence that the Mandela effect could be or is real in that clear sense. I think, I don't know, personally I think I chalk it up to be people misremembering things, because it's all shared like ideas most of the time. People are like, oh yeah, I remember that, and it's like shared. People, I don't know, it's a weird phenomenon, guys. It's up to debate, but it's up to you guys. What do you guys think? Author Machens, woodland tryst with elemental. So if you don't know who Arthur Machens is, he essentially sets the foundation for, I guess, Lovecraftian and Stephen King I guess books. He did a lot of earlier works that pretty much inspired those guys. And for this piece, the one we're talking about, I guess it talks about, I guess, a book he did, and I guess the opening passage of it involved like some kind of romantic love situation with, I guess, the elemental woodland spirit. And he describes his, I guess, his first-hand experience, and pretty much that's about it. There's not really much information on it. It's just a short little sentence that pretty much talks about it. Fairy shoe of Beara Penisular. So essentially, someone found, I guess, a shoe of fairy. Like, I guess one shoe. I guess this is a picture. I'll show you guys right here. I guess in 1835, I guess in Ireland, someone found a fairy shoe on a sheep track. I guess the shoe's made out of, I guess, mouse skin, and it's 3 inches long. It's pretty odd. People chalk it up to be maybe for a doll, but it's not. I don't know. It's well worn. It's pretty well stitched, and it's like holes for shoelaces. So it's a pretty odd occurrence to find, I guess, a shoe like this. Corpse road travelers. So essentially, what these are, they're, I guess, paved roads, or even just like roads themselves, or footprint roads, where I guess people would travel with the dead, transport the dead to, I guess, churches or, I guess, cemeteries. These are, I guess, all over the world, not just per se in some places. But these are pretty much known to have, like, I guess, folklore and, like, I guess, ghosts and spirits surrounded by them, superstitions, legends, that sort of thing. There's a lot of odd occurrences with these things, like whiplash, pretty much like, ghost lights, and etc. Those sort of things. That's pretty much just about it. The Morley Martin experiments. So pretty much this guy, Morley Martin, we'll call him Mart for the meantime. He essentially made, well, one of the experiments that's talked about in this article here with a bunch of, I guess, magazine prints. It talks about how this guy was able to, I guess, make organic life forms in rocks. And that's pretty much the big bit of it. Everything else is there's some like bits of other experiments, but that's pretty much about it. Tin cans crossing the road. So this is an account of a guy from like back in all the way in 1966, where a man named, I guess, William Eddie Laxton, a 56-year-old, I guess, engineer from Temple, Oklahoma. He was, I guess, driving down a road, and I guess he noticed some kind of cigar-looking vehicle, roughly about, I guess, 75 feet long, and some guy was working on it, it looks like some ordinary 35 25, 30-ish year old guy wearing, I guess, overalls. Before I guess he approached the guy just went inside this supposed cigar-looking vehicle and just went flying. Like, the machine just went flying. And I guess Eddie was just baffled and was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I would be too if I saw some, like, cigar-looking machine that was, like, garbage and just, like, flew in the air. And that's pretty much just about it. The Sleeping Girl of Turville. So this is an account of, I guess, roughly in the 1859-ish, all the way to the 1901. I guess the lady of Ellen Sadler, she, I guess, was born in Buckinghamshire in United Kingdom. And I guess when she turned 11, she was having a bunch of seizures and falling asleep a lot. And I guess at one point, she didn't wake up for, like, I guess, 9 years. She turned into, I guess, a tourist attraction. People will give out money. And funny thing is, once her mother died, it didn't say accounting to when, except it was like roughly the 1880-ish time. Once she died, I guess Ellen woke, and later she got married and had 5 children. So, like, I guess that's good for her. I guess you could count this, I guess, being like a little trope to, I guess, Sleeping Beauty. But I don't really know about this, man. It's pretty odd. 1968. Derinkuyu Humanoid Massacre. So this one comes from John Keel. I guess this book again. The book is called, let's see, The Mothman Prophecies. Just another one of his books again. And this specific entry just talks about how there was a situation, I guess in 1968 in Derinkuyu, Turkey, where I guess some archaeologists are exploring. It says here, barrel chambers, tunnels, and catacomb cities. I guess somewhere in Derinkuyu. And I guess supposedly they reached down, I guess, a depth of 900 feet, which is like, damn, that's fucking deep, bro. I don't know how they can get back, like, in such a quick time, but according to the little mini story they add here, they were attacked by a group of 7 feet tall, hairy creatures. That's what they say. I don't know. Albino, hairy creatures. And supposedly one of the team members died, and it was hospitalized with, like, badly, like, with deadly wounds. But that's pretty much just about it. It gives a source of, like, Raymond Bond UFO Annual 1980, which I don't really know what that really means. Like, source of from what? Like, the guy who said this. But, like, others, like, because I was trying to look into more, which is like the sources and whatnot, but I don't come up with anything, guys. So John Keel with this crazy discovery of this weird story. I don't know how he gets all these things, bro. Honestly, this book's pretty interesting, but a lot of these things he finds, you're kind of like, what the fuck? It's not like something you'll fucking say like when you're drunk or something. Hey, bro, it's fucking attacked by fucking albinoid, fucking albino hairy creatures 7 feet tall. Like, what the hell, man? Iceberg psyops. So there's not a lot on this entry. There wasn't a clickable link for this one, but from what I've seen, there's a lot of random, like, article stuff, like military stuff. I'm pretty sure that wasn't not it, so I'm not gonna include that here. There was like a bunch of Facebook posts of, like, people just, like, it's just the, you know, accounts called psyops. But then I did find like a website talking about a movie, like an Apple made movie about a lady, I guess, pretty much. It says here, I'll read about the lines, guys. So it says, it's a story about time and how past and future selves move each in different direction towards who we are. So you're like, what the hell is going on? Self-reflection, maybe? I don't know. Like, what are they trying to go for? I'll send some pictures here, like, showing, like, what the website shows here, like a little snippet. It shows, like, a lady in a blue shirt, or, like, a long sleeve, and, like, I don't know what the whole deal is, bro. Yeah, it just seems like some weird fancy stuff, you know? Cool art project, but I don't know, it's pretty odd. Bhuvanji, also known as Gumnami Baba. So this guy essentially is known for being mysterious. Like, no one knows who this guy is that well. All is known that he's known for being incognito, being invisible in a sense. There's only a few signs of him, a few records of him, that sort of thing. That's pretty much the like, peak interest of him. This guy kind of deserves a video of his own, because there's a lot of stuff on him just for his mysterious nature and the belongings of his. People were trying to find him. There's a lot of videos from my scene about this guy. I'll put some pictures here of, like, supposed, I guess, images of how the guy looked like, and this is kind of just based around like in India, like in the 1950s and later on. Supposedly he died, but it was a cover up with this like cremation, I guess, ceremony thing, whatever. It's a pretty interesting guy, you know, just to look into. But I don't really see why, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of shit you see in here is like, he's known for being like odd and like mysterious. That's about it. Sky threads. So this story comes from, let me look at the website again. Weird NJ. If you guys didn't know, that's New Jersey. And essentially what the story is, where people were noticing a weird line thing in the sky. Well, they call it, you know, the story sky threads, but it's like a silver huge line. People were noticing for weeks. I think it was just staying still for about a couple weeks. The story mentions here like Mr. and Mrs. A.P. Smith, the people that noticed it, and some other people. But the funny thing is like the story, like 2 boys were also trying to get that thing, and they managed to get a piece of it with I guess a fishing pole. Well, it says here fishing string, but you already know what the deal is. And I guess they pulled it down, and they divide the thing as like a silvery, huge string-like thing, something similar to that like plastic nylon. And people just kind of summed it up to be a kite or some sort, but I don't know. People just find it supernatural. It's some standing still thing, and they mentioned like the weather conditions like couldn't make this could be like a kite, whatnot. So it's very odd. Serial Killer Cave Point Pleasant. So this is an interview done in 2002 with John Keel. People that are involved were, let me look at the script real quick, guys. John Keel, you know, obviously. Doug Skinner, Dr. Maine Catton, and a filmmaker called George, I think it's pronounced Kolker? I don't know, guys. I'm just say George K, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to fuck up his name anymore. But they did pretty much went through a small little talk about, because like the whole interview is kind of like, it's kind of odd, like everything's real thin, like small talk, you know. It's all just small talk piece, like nothing real deep. John Keel's like really all the time, his memory's kind of just going bog at the sense. So everything's kind of just like mismatched, just trying to give or take, you know what I mean? But they do say, they mentioned about, you know, we're talking right now, some kind of serial killer happening during the time with like the Mothman sightings are happening, and essentially some killings were happening, and also like the bodies were never found. Supposedly, there's not a lot of information on this part. It's kind of just real brief, you know. It's really small, because the like, interview really talks about other things besides like more than the Mothman, but like other phenomenons with like, I guess John Keel himself being like tricked by some fake women about some, I don't know, it's some weird odd sense. If you read the article itself, it talks about other stuff that's more interesting, I think. I don't know, who wants to talk about like killings, you know? It's like, what the heck, bro? Just a bunch of negative stuff. I want to hear some mysterious stuff, not just some killings. Which is kind of odd. I mean, I don't want to disrespect the nature of it, but you know, like the information we're given is not really mysterious. Just like, it just says people died, serial killer on the loose, no information given, you know. So I'm like, what the heck, dude? I'm not trying to dodge like saying it's not mysterious and all, but there's not really much information given, just really vague and just straight to the point. Oh, some killings happened, that's it. North Rhodesia, Forbidden Pit. So this one talks about a lime pit that was found in Rhodesia in a place near Broken Hills at Kopopo. So essentially it's like a big pit. It's roughly 100 yards in diameter, like in size, and it's surrounded by like, you know, haunted legends and myths. But there's a bunch of accounts of, I guess, unknown creatures, maybe extinct creatures. Suppose that's what the article says. Not the article, but this is like more like a book insert. And supposedly there's a bunch of hauntings. Supposedly, because, and the thing it says that there's a bunch of people that I suppose at a certain time that, well, I can't say here, guys, but you obviously know they would jump into the pit, and you already know what happens. I can't really say it here on YouTube, but there's a lack of, you know, demonetization. Sorry guys, my fucking teeth's fucking me up. I need to get my shit fucking fixed. I've been studying this whole videos, bro. All these videos I've been fucking studying and shit because my fucking teeth. But I don't know, I don't got money, so I'm kind of just fucked until then. I mean, if I start making money from this, I probably won't get this fixed until a while. And look at the, you know, Google Analytics. It's not looking good, boys, but either way, we gotta get this shit done. But back on topic at hand, someone named Sir Lawrence Wallace British administrator from like the 1900s, like early 1900s. Supposedly came over here and found some like extinct creatures and some creatures that we never like found about that are like abnormal. Like say he found like a half duck living creature. But that's pretty much about it for the pit. There's a lot of other mysteries about this, but since it's kind of untapped and it's kind of hard to go through, because the thing it says there's a lot of water and there's like 200 feet, and it's kind of hard to go through because the pit's kind of like structure kind of weird, so it's kind of hard to go through it. Also knowing that this is kind of unknown, untapped, and not much documentation. Cosmonaut Angel sightings. So this story is pretty much, you know, Russian astronauts. I don't know they call it cosmonauts, but that's the way they go by. The story, I guess, 1984, where I guess Russian astronauts were going to space. The space shuttle, they call it space station Soyuz 7. I guess on their day of 155, they were encountering some kind of light. It was like an orange light that will go through the walls, and at one point it blinded them, and they regained their vision just a little while, and they recorded human beings in space with them. But the odd occurrence is that they look like angels. They had wings. They were just near them, looking at them. And this happened again, where an orange light came about, and these humanoid angels came by, and someone reported, like one of the Russian astronauts reported seeing like that one of the angels were smiling. And supposedly this was like kept secret, but this is just a really odd occurrence. Some deemed it as like fatigue, maybe because, you know, they've been in space for a while, but I don't know, it's pretty odd. Laurent is dead. So essentially she's talking about the movie Lost Highway, and it talks about how the director David Lynch was inspired from like a scene he created was inspired from a interaction he had, a weird occurrence. The occurrence goes like this. So one day he got like a weird ring from a stranger in his intercom. I guess the voice message he got was like, Laurent was dead. So David Lynch looks out his window and he sees no one. So I guess this moment kind of inspired him to make that situation with that movie. If you guys don't know, I'm gonna spoil it for you guys, but there's a weird occurrence in the movie where I guess the main character, I'm not gonna say who it is because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but the main character is sitting in a party, just looking around, and they see a mysterious like pale looking guy come up to him, and then the pale guy is just, you know, acting kind of weird. It's some weird creepy movie tropes going on where like the music just goes quiet because before it was like just a bunch of party music, but then it goes completely quiet. But then after that point, the strange man tells him, "Have we met before?" And you know all the jazz goes down. And then pretty much at some point, the strange guy tells him to call his house to verify that the strange man is there too at his house. It's weird. Pretty much the strange man supposedly he's at the party right now, and he's at the main character's house, like there right now. So the main character calls his phone. Uses the stranger guy's phone to call his own like house, and then behold, the strange man is there. So he's pretty much like simultaneously at the party and at his house. And you already know, fucking the main character's fucking like creeped out. It's like, what the fuck's going on? And that's pretty much all the situation just like cuts off from. The stranger man just calls it quits and just leaves. He's like, he had fun talking, and that's pretty much about it. Antarctic tropics. So this one comes from the website Anomalien, and it's pretty much an article talking about how supposedly Antarctica was like an advanced civilization back in the day. And it also talks about how some people like back in the day discovered the place like before it got iced out, you know what I'm saying? Like ancient like travelers and explorers. And that's pretty much about it. It just goes more deep in thought and like gives a small piece of evidence, gives like different names of like old maps and whatnot. But that's pretty much about it. Hey, but you know, guys, think about food for thought. It would be kind of interesting seeing the Antarctic like uncovered snow. Imagine like, well, from my scene like on the internet, there's like some NASA maps and like some other shit going on. I don't remember by who or by what, you know what I'm saying? But there's some videos and articles online about how the Antarctica look like right now, like at bedrock level. Pretty much like taking up all the fucking snow and see how it looks like. It just looks like some fucking big blob of fucking dirt. I mean, it's kind of like Minecraft is like you're looking at a fucking small island that's like isolated from everything. Just fucking uninhabited, just with nothing, no trees, no shit like that. But I guess it could be interesting. But I'm more interested about like the technology part, like saying if there was some kind of like old civilization with like advanced technology, that'd be pretty cool. Bashir K. Mystery Stalker. So this one's pretty much a guy's story of his account of stalkings, of like phone calls on him. So essentially throughout his life for like about like 9 years, or for around like the 1974, he'll get up to like 9-ish phone calls between a week. During this time we get like 20 per day. This is like during the earlier times, by I guess random people. The article thing, not the article, but because we go through like a Wikipedia thing, it says that they're unknown, like could be terrorists possibly. And at some point he got kidnapped, and the kidnappers thought he was CIA, but it turns out he wasn't, like obviously not. But even then, he later off that thing, he was still getting like other like random people to like get phone calls from him, just stalking his behavior and whatnot, threatening to kill him and whatnot. And then roughly around the 1982, when you moved to the United States, the situation became the same thing. He became involved with something called Elefante. I'm pretty sure that's not the way you pronounce it, but I don't know. It's a weird nickname to keep on bringing about. But he's being harassed by this guy now, being threatened to be killed. And funny enough, he went to a psychiatric ward, you know, the Looney Town. It says he's been there for a couple years, in and out sometimes. But after some point, roughly around 2002, his story kind of came about on TV. And after that point, all the harassment and all the phone calls kind of just went away, which is kind of really odd. Maybe they were scared like his publicity maybe got to them or something like that. I don't know. In our case, a lot of the stories said that, for the newer stuff, like around the 18, I mean the 18 world, I'm not going crazy, the 1980ish stuff, in like the 1970s, it was like maybe some children, but that's not really confirmed like whose stalker harassers were, or supposed terrorists, you know, on the phone calls. After the TV broadcast, he would make some controversial websites, you know, making some anti-Semitic and homophobic websites, kind of projected against, I guess, supposedly claiming that Jews and Israeli government were responsible for the abduction and harassment and all these phone calls and all that jazz. So pretty much summing down, this guy's pretty much just being harassed by phone calls. He's pretty much driven mad and gone to the Looney Town for a bit. So that he goes in and out sometimes, and he's also been in some kind of diplomatic and political position in Lebanon, which is kind of cool, I guess. But then again, like if you're in a Looney Town and you're elected for some kind of official position, it's like, what the heck? Or did they overlook that part, or I don't know. Especially with the abduction part, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Tracy Twyman death. So if you guys don't know Tracy R. Twyman, she's a, I guess, independent investigator for into occult and esoteric history. She makes podcasts, but as of roughly 2019, she died at the age of 40. Because roughly in 2018, she was doing research. Up to this point, I can't really talk about it, guys, but I'll give you guys a little hint. It's into the Hollywood stuff, you know, the underground stuff that's like really bad. That's kind of been a rise now and trending. If you guys know what I'm talking about, if you guys are more interested and don't really know what I'm talking about, look this one up, because I can't talk about it on, you know, on this video. Iceberg. Black dogs from a UFO. So this one comes from the website New England Folklore, and essentially it just talks about stories of like New England having some stories about spectral black dogs that foretell doom and mischief and evil. But they talk about some stories like the one from here about a black dog being abducted by a UFO and someone seeing the dog inside the UFO. That's what it says. You know, it's pretty odd like thing to say, you know, in the storyboard, but it's there. Also some stories about a dog coming into a farm and biting the necks of 2 horses, and you know, the farmer pretty much fending off the dog, not fending off, but more off scaring it. And I guess this arose to like the city, and it's kind of pushing the city to like stock up and make so the schools recesses are more indoors because of this dog. And one account where, like, I guess, a police officer noticed the dog on, I guess, train tracks and shot the dog, and the dog was unfazed and seemingly just disappeared and didn't even care that it was shot. It kind of just more like ignored it, I guess. And, like, goes unfazed. Mickey Mouse sightings. So guys, just to give a little note on my part, these stories are are interchangeable and are like kind of interconnected in a way. A lot of these stuff are from almost the same source and same books, same articles. They're all kind of meshed together, just placed in different, iceberg entry spots, like different levels of the iceberg. So a lot of these you guys are kind of just gonna get familiar with at this point. This one, yet again, it's from the book It Happened to Me from the 14 times. So essentially, the story of this account of a Mickey Mouse figure goes like this. It doesn't say when and what time, it just says the time of the publication through what it was. It says Stanley Shoop, whatever that means. I don't know what that is. From 1992. Yeah, no, guys, this book's really old. It's pretty much accounts of some guy's report of like when he was young as hell, like 60 years ago, from like I guess 1992, when he was roughly around 5 or 6. He recounts I guess his grandparents' house. It's always the grandparents' house. I don't know why. Always the grandparents' house. Well, I guess they were told to never go into the basement or whatever. But I guess the reader's like, oh, it piqued my curiosity, so they decided to go to it. And then, hold and behold, they found a Mickey Mouse figure. That's all I say. It's really vague. These stories are really small and vague sometimes. Like from this book in particular. Like the guy just says they found a fictional character, Mickey Mouse. They don't describe it moving or how what was going down. They just said they open door, they see the dude. That's it. I was expecting like Treasure Island vibes, creepypasta, but I guess not. But that's pretty much just about it for this one. If you guys want to look into it, which is I don't know, it's a really short read from the book insert. If you click on the Iceberg links, it shows you a small archive .org page. That's pretty much about it. Telapa. So this is a phenomenon that goes, I guess, underneath the water, like on the surface of the ocean bed. Or I guess there's like unexplained light. But the only way, I guess, people chalk this up to be is like maybe bioluminescent like organisms that maybe produce this light. I'll see, like find me like that weird, what's that fish called? The one with like the light coming out. I'll think of those and some other like worm stuff or some maybe coral. Maybe I think I've seen some glowing coral before. I'm not too sure about that, but it's just pretty much saying that it's not really saying what it's like chalked up to be. So I'm guessing you guys, sure from the title, you already know what's going on here. I can't talk about this one because of the nature of what's going on, and it's pretty obvious just by the title what's this about. If you guys want to know more about this, it's on the book, like again by John Keel. He's pretty much on all these entries by now. He has like a bunch of stories that just tapped on a bunch of icebergs. But look through his book. The one in particular I think we're looking at is the Complete Guide to Mysterious Beings. If you click on the link, it's a dead link. I don't know why. It's an old archive that's been dead now. So you get to look at the book yourself. But I don't know. Kudos to you guys if you want to look at it. Tesseract Earth. So this one sends you to a Twitter page. It's not that famous, but it just has 131 followers. I'll put the picture here to show you guys what it's about. Essentially, it's just like a Twitter page that talks about Tesseract Earth, pretty much saying that the Earth is a tesseract. If you guys don't know what that is, it's just a fourth dimension version of a cube. It's pretty cool, but it seems more like a meme page when you look at it. It's not really popping, a lot of people look at it, and now the people are posting on it. It's just the whoever has the account ownership is just pretty much putting out posts. But no, from what I see, no one looks at it. But it's not really interesting. It doesn't really bring anything else. It just brings up a lot of meme posts, like, hey, look at this stuff. It's just random. It's like it's like a Discord server, The Bigfoot Summoning Murder. So this one's this one's a joke story, honestly. There's no mystery to this one, besides what was going on to this guy's head at the time. And the story just seems more like a joke story, if anything. And it's published by the Daily Beast. They seem like a reputable place to put articles like this. But essentially the story goes like this. Someone named Larry Sanders killed his best friend. Well, I guess best fishing friend, that's what according to the thing says. The guy's name was Jimmy Knighton. And supposedly Larry Sanders summoned Bigfoot to kill his buddy. That makes no fucking sense, bro. What the hell? It doesn't even go in detail why he did this. The guy didn't explain himself. It says He's like, oh, I'm glad I apologize. That's pretty much all the guy says. Like, what? Like, what's going through your mind, buddy? Like, the police report says supposedly he could have been on something, you know. Larry could have been on that good, you know what I'm saying? But this story just like, it's not even a mystery, bro. It's just like, you already know what's going on. This guy's either on something, or this guy's insane. But like, I don't really suggest you guys reading it. It's just more like a joke. If you guys want to laugh, maybe yeah, just fucking go on it. But just like, why? Planetarian Apocalypse. So sorry guys, another bad news for this one again. This one I have to buy the book again, but you know, I already know, can't buy the book. But from what I get from the summaries from online, supposedly, I'm gonna give you one line pretty much to summarize what's going on here. It didn't summarize, but just this line kind of gives you an idea what's going on here. And it sounds kind of outrageous. I just kind of make a joke, but I'm gonna read you guys the insert. So the Planetarian Apocalypse is a definitive work of the cult and the universal spirit of the planet Earth for the planetarian religion. So like, you can already understand kind of what's going on here. And also, the book's by William Edwards Wooten. Weird last name, but yeah, anything goes, I guess. Irma Ricks teleportation. So this one's an interview, done by Irma Ricks. This is based off like I guess Hispanic news television thing called Chronica TV. I guess this is pretty much the interview how it goes down. So essentially, like a lady got supposedly abducted by aliens, and I don't know why they set up to aliens because they just talked about how. Well, I'm giving my honest opinion, guys. When you look at the interview, it's like line by line. It's just a guy probing the lady, saying like, "Oh, what happened with this?" And they go into detail like the steps of what happened, like before it happened, like you know, like the abduction supposedly. I'm gonna tell you guys, this lady's just clueless. She doesn't even know like what's going on. She like even the details that are normal, like say like I walked up, like she doesn't even know if she even got up. Like if you read lines, you know what I mean. Any small detail that's normal, that's not even part of the story, she sounds just clueless. Like she should be interviewing the guy that's interviewing her, you know what I mean? But essentially, she got abducted supposedly. Well, I think it's maybe probably a stroke, because what it seems like what's going on. Supposedly she got lost for 24 hours, leaving her patio, and she got like, I don't know, she heard wind or whatever, and she just teleported 24 hours later on. And that's it. She said she went to the hospital to check it up. She got like a weird incision on her head, like a pink scar is left now. But that's pretty much about it. The lady sounds clueless. Maybe you could even say delusional, but I don't want to be rude. But that's about it. The death of Santa Claus. So this is not really like a sad story, but just like, what the heck? Like you don't think it's like some mythical power stuff. It's just like some, I guess, murder mystery, I guess. Well, I kind of misforgot. I should have said that, but it's too late. Alright, so essentially the story goes like this. Some guy named George, that's what, he doesn't give it a last name or anything. I guess he's trying to keep himself anonymous, but when he was younger, when he lived, I guess, with his parents, he would go to this store where it gets this well-known guy named, well, it says through here, Big John Cornel. I think that's pronounced the way, like that, I think. Cornel. Essentially, this guy, Cornel, was pretty much known to be like a big legend. He saved, I guess, a girl like back in 1930-ish. Mind you, the story takes back like to like 1950-ish. But I guess he became famous because of that, because he saved a girl. Also, he had a bunch of tales to say, so he was kind of like a storyteller. But then the story goes like this. So one day around the time of like Christmas time, I guess George went to the store, to, you know, John's store, and John told him a story about how he saw Santa Claus dead. John didn't really make much of it. He didn't get the details of what's going on. John just said like, "Oh, Santa Claus died," and that's pretty much about it. And he gave him like, glasses frames of like, those old circle like wire frames, like for glasses, because something like Santa Claus would have without the glass instead inside it, like without the glass. I'm saying pretty much with like spectacles without glass. So this is kind of the story kind of goes like to a downfall. Not a downfall, but it gets like it becomes a doozy. So Big John goes missing for I think roughly, they say, I guess a day, and during the holidays, and people kind of question what's going on. And then a little later, people are like, "Oh, we gotta search for this guy because it's been a while since we've seen this guy. His store's closed. Everyone knows him. Everyone's getting concerned." So the police come in, they get involved, they search his house, nothing. They search his store, boom, they find something. I guess supposedly they find a bunch of rugs covering up a skeletal body of the supposed dead Santa Claus guy. It's like a skeleton with like Santa Claus clothes, which is like really odd. And they they couldn't find, John. He's gone, lost forever. I'm showing you guys, but yeah, John's like nowhere to be found. That's pretty much how the story goes. Giant spired tulupa. So you already know, guys, this is kind of weird again. Talks about two-dimensional spiders, which, like, what the fuck? Like, the thing doesn't explain that well. It gives you like a small snippet page from an archive.org page. Essentially, it's just a 2D spider, and supposedly some guy named Richard Freeman creates these supposed two-dimensional spiders through rituals and all that good stuff. That's all it says. It's just ritualistic activities and ceremonies and chanting. And that's pretty much about it. Axis of evil against evil. So this kind of involves like Lovecraft, and I think I'm pronouncing this wrong, guys, but the Cynopedia, that book. Essentially, they call something Lanasu. I'll put the text here to show you guys what it is, and the picture how it looks like. Essentially, this is pretty much like a war demon, some kind of supernatural entity that's supposed to like protect, I guess, literature and art for like the Mesopotamian, people, I guess. Chunk loading clouds. So I'm gonna a picture here just to show you what's going on here. There's not much information on this besides the obvious. A lot of people make a bunch of Minecraft jokes on this because this pretty much originates from a Reddit post. But yeah, take what you will with this. Alright, because the nature of this, iceberg, I blurred it out a little bit so you guys can tell somewhat what it is, but I can't say it out loud, I'm pretty sure. But I'm gonna just go to the story without talking about that sort of thing, because the story, I could say it, but like, not talk about, that sort of part. If you guys read the thing, you guys know what I'm talking about. Let's just sort of like this. So the guy just pretty much says that there's a soulmate for him, and involving this sort of thing. But the whole, I guess, Reddit post, because it's a Reddit post, like talking about this sort of thing. The guy just like blurring stuff out. I don't know. It sounds like a joke, but he talks about, I don't know. If you guys want to look into more into it, but he talks about him finding a soulmate and like life like has given him some kind of destiny to find this person. Yeah, involving this characteristic, but I don't know. Do what you will with the story. This guy sounds delusional when you read the story, and it's kind of insane. Initial bipedalism theory. So this one's talking about, I'm not sure if you guys know what this is, but I'll show a picture, because you guys will know what I'm talking about once I send the picture out. Like the fish turns into like a monkey, and then turns to like the human, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's super talking about that, but this word, bipedalism, is pretty much the idea of like, I guess, humans walking upright, or any kind of creature walking upright on two legs, or any kind of leg, I guess. Essentially what this theory is talking about, it's saying how our like human ancestors from way back then were pretty much fishes, we lack the vertebrae to be walking upright, but now it's just saying how we were developing in the water, and we pretty much just arose, had two legs, and started walking upright. Santa sightings. So this one is just a bunch of stories of people recollecting like memories of when they're like younger of supposed sightings of Santa Claus. They give pretty decent like descriptions of how I guess Santa Claus looks like in their stories, or how everything played out. But it's just small stories that seem kind of fictional. So I guess, from my opinion, they sound like more like daydreams, or maybe they're kind of hallucinating or something like that. Or just realistically, they're just dreaming, What? Conspiracy realism versus conspiracism. I'm sorry, guys, I butchered that shit. I can't pronounce words today. I don't know what's going on, but bear with me, guys, please. So essentially what this one's talking about is like an article that explains philosophical side of conspiracy theories. He talks about like the history of like the idea of like conspiracy theories, like how are they brought up, definitions according to multiple takes of it, like how it's defined. I guess like put them into categories of how like you can define, I guess, a conspiracy theory, what it falls into, and that sort of jazz. It's just pretty much like a mini wiki of like what is a conspiracy theory. Kary Mullis Raccoon sightings. So this one's talking about how once someone gets like a Nobel Prize, they start going more delusional, and they're scientific findings. They're talking about, in this case, scientists and like I guess people in the scientific field. But in our case, they use someone called, well, I guessed it, Kary Mullis. So essentially, they discovered a PCR. And up to that point, as soon as the guy invented that sort of thing, he started going delusional and started going to some unorthodox scientific theories. He was pretty much saying like he saw raccoons that are like fluorescent that could talk to him, which was pretty odd. And I don't know, it talks about other people too that I guess got a Nobel Prize. So they go with someone called Linus Pauling, and pretty much when they won a Nobel Prize, they started going on about how any, I guess, disease can be cured by enough doses of vitamin C. It's like, what the heck? So pretty much this thing is saying like, everybody that gets a Nobel Prize, usually scientists, they go delusional and start going to some crazy stuff, you know what I mean? I think maybe they gone crazy. It's like they feel entitled once they get that Nobel Prize. It's kind of funny. Christ's body chains and the resurrection. So this one talks about the account of how Jesus Christ, died and was, I guess, resurrected. This one's kind of interesting because, well, personally for me, I like biblical stuff. But it says here that Christ's body did change like after he came back. It was technically not the same, even though he claims himself and others around him were proven that it was the same body from before, but this one changed. According to the article we're given, it says that he was able to like teleport and go through doors. So I don't know, something must be going on. I don't know, those magic powers, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, it's pretty interesting. Human parthenogenesis. So this one's talking about like this idea of, I guess, well, it says here like humans, but it pretty much applies to anything. But just general study of like asexual reproduction for like, I guess, females, I guess. It says for anything here, but the evidence they bring out is saying how it's happened before, or some cases where I guess an egg, embryo gets fertilized without any like partner help. And that's pretty much about it. There's cases where I guess scientists have proven that they were able to, I guess, fertilize an egg without, a partner, without being fertilized, like their egg. But I know some cases were fabricated, like they're all faked out. But the case here in 1995, there was a case where I guess a boy was, born out. It turns out he was, I guess, created asexually. I guess the egg wasn't like properly, fertilized with, I guess, the semen. It was done by itself, like the embryo just divided by itself. And I guess at this point, he was created, and the interesting thing about him, he was otherwise healthy, just that besides he had some kind of living difficulties, and some of his body cells are kind of odd. But then he's pretty much presumably, I guess, a normal boy. Flying carpet of N. I don't know how to pronounce that word, guys, but I'm gonna just say N. So this story is an account of some guy meeting, I guess, a guy with like long straight black hair. He's wearing like a black attire. It's pretty odd looking attire. That's what the article says. It's not an article. It's a Russian website. When I first got like into the link, it sent me to a Russian website. I had to translate everything on English. Thankfully, Google Translate, the homie, did me a favor, translated the whole thing out. But as soon as I guess this guy meets this long black-haired character, he encounters, I guess, a flying carpet with, I guess, a person kind of, I don't know how to explain this, but I guess he's imprinted on the carpet. And that's pretty much just about it. I guess the article thing says the features of like the guy imprinted on the carpet had like he had fear, or like he was kind of angry. That's pretty much about it. That's all it kind of goes through. It doesn't really go to explain like much else. It just says that. But it's a pretty odd read. Gary Subbrink phone calls and doppelganger. So he already knows another doppelganger story. It's pretty interesting though. So a guy named Gary, we call him, I don't say the last name, I might mess it up, even though I just said it once, but I don't know, you know how it is, guys. I freaking mess up everyone's names, even though it's like simple as heck, or I don't know, some crazy stuff. I don't know. I can't do names right now. I just don't know what's going on. It's like my tooth's messed me up real bad this time. Alright guys, so the story goes like this. So I guess, Gary's stationed in Texas. He's a military guy, and he plans to go to New York through plane. And essentially, when he goes to the airport, he meets these two individuals that question him, like, give him like personal questions. Like, they start asking like fucking, what's your name? Where do you live? That sort of thing. And I guess he encounters them again like during the flight, which is pretty odd. And this kind of makes him like what's going on here? Like I'm saying, what's the whole deal? So it turns out after he arrives I guess New York, supposedly his friend Mike, he encountered these I guess doppelgangers. He wasn't aware, but yeah, he had some kind of encounter with them. And so did his family too. The doppelgangers, I guess, impersonated, I guess, Gary. And he pretty much talked to his family and his friend Mike. So it was like really odd. There's evidence, like, you know, there's actual recordings of like the phone calls. And there's also a transcript of like what happened, which is pretty cool if you guys want to look into yourselves on the story. That's pretty about it. Yeah. DDLC, Machine Consciousness. So this one's talking about Doki Doki Literature Club. If you guys haven't played the game, play it. I haven't played it personally, but I I kind of just robbed the playthrough for myself because I watch video analysis, so I kind of know what's going on here. But essentially, if you guys don't want to get spoiled, I don't know, it's not really getting spoiled, but I don't know, it kind of is. Essentially, this I guess Reddit post is saying is that one of the characters, the pink-haired girl, Natsuki, has like some kind of consciousness, because some events in the story in the game, like it kind of goes against the script. Like she's kind of questioning the story and the plot of like what's going on. So everyone's saying how, you know, the main culprit, the antagonist, Monica, is like bird for say, but they bring up some evidence kind of implying that Natsuki has some kind of consciousness because she's able to question what's going on in the plot. And that's pretty much just about it. Eel Balls. So I know for the people that are dirty minded are probably like, what the heck is this? It's not what it means, you know, like that indirect with like a sexual innuendo. It's just referring to, I guess, a phenomenon that went down with the eels that don't involve, you know, that sort of thing. So essentially, there were, I guess, weird occurrences where, I guess, eels would be bunched up and clumped together to, like, I guess, balls. And that's pretty much about it. The accounts were, I guess, made in, like, I guess, Italy, sometimes in Lake Garda. And that's pretty much about it. Just a weird occurrence of eels being clumped together. Alright, guys, that's the end of the iceberg. Not this iceberg, but this part for this section. I don't know what part this is. I think this is part 5, I think. Don't quote me on that. Just look at the title. It'll tell you what part this is, but I don't know, guys. That's about it for now. Alright, guys, I think I'm gonna pull a little quits on this, I guess, series. I'm not saying I'm gonna quit it completely. I'm just gonna go into different projects, because this one's gonna take a while. This one has like a bunch of... I counted, I think, initially had 17 levels, and they're all fucking full packed with fucking things, and these take a while to research, guys. Like, some of them are, I don't know, there's a lot of information to go through. Some are just convoluted and crazy. And they're really cool to read through and go through them, but to make videos of them, to make them like sound interesting, and trying to pull them apart, it takes a lot of time, research, find the images. That's why I cut off like a bunch of the stuff. Remember before, my content was like for the videos, but there's a lot of niche stuff in here, you know, and all the content's like kind of complicated, so it takes time to go through it, and some of the stuff is locked, you know. There's some difficulty with that, but thank you guys for bearing with me. Hopefully people watch this, you know. Just letting you guys know, I got Patreon if you guys want to support me, because, you know, I'm not making money from this still, but I'd appreciate if you guys look into it if you guys can, and I'll see you guys later.